Appetite suppression differences of tirzepatide versus semaglutide on today's episode. Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have had the privilege of losing over 92 pounds in the last year and a half of taking Mounjaro and then Mounjaro to ZEPBOUND because of the shortage and ZEPBOUND to tirzepatide compound, and now back to ZEPBOUND. And losing over 92 pounds. On today's episode, I want to talk about and do more of a deep dive of appetite suppression, specifically for if you're taking semaglutide, which confuses people sometimes on the vernacular of, or the word choices of semaglutide, which could be Wegovy or Ozempic. It's the active ingredient in there, but people will refer to the compound just as semaglutide, but really is the active ingredient in Wegovy and Ozempic. Versus tirzepatide, which is the active ingredient in Mounjaro or ZEPBOUND, but can also be referred to tirzepatide as just the compound of those while we're in a shortage. Now, which ZEPBOUND just got off of the shortage list, as did Mounjaro, but that's a horse of another color for another day. Tomato, tomato. We're going to talk about tirzepatide versus semaglutide. And I really want to do a deep dive on this. Last night, I went out with the Count. We had an amazing date time together. And I noticed immediately, we had gotten our appetizer, which was burrata, and it was tomatoes. And then we had a delicious Italian meal. And I didn't eat that much. I didn't eat that much of it. And my husband was really enjoying it. He ate a lot. But I didn't eat that much. And it started me talking to my husband and going down the path about appetite suppression, which started me going down the path talking about how many viewers on semaglutide, we have had this discussion in my free encouragement group about the big differences of head hunger versus physical hunger. And then when you're eating a meal, the differences of that. So we're going to kind of deep dive into that and then some solutions to help along that, whether you're taking semaglutide or tirzepatide. Both are amazing. There is a slight difference in data of where tirzepatide has another receptor on there. It has an extra receptor in that. And so that can lead to these differences. It has a GIP-1, whereas, and again, I'm not medical and I don't pretend to play medical, but that's the medical jargon for you. Let me go back to talking about my experience, strength, and hope. Save that medical jargon, medical advice for someone else, not me. Always talk to your own healthcare provider. So for physical hunger versus head hunger, for me, two main differences. One is I just don't eat as part of taking a tirzepatide. The thought process in my brain is like, I'm just so full, I'm not even going to start eating. So that's one bucket of this appetite suppression. The other bucket of appetite suppression is I'm eating. So I'm having, like, for example, my burrata. I'm eating, I'm loving, I'm enjoying, and then I'm like, oh, I'm too full. And then I stop eating once I start eating. And so these two buckets of not even starting eating, and then what happens with my appetite suppression when I do start eating. And I think that's where I'm seeing the outlining biggest differences. I've never been on semaglutide, but from what many, many beautiful viewers and I have had the great dialogue, and this is why being in my free encouragement group is so fantastic, I'm having this great dialogue about it, is you learn these things. And so many people, and I know this is, by the way, just thought. Many people have different experiences. Everybody's body's different. So I don't want to categorize. People get very upset. And so that is not my intention of categorizing people. Simply my experience, strength, and hope, and something for you to think about so you can take what you want and leave the rest for your own specific GLP-1 journey and your own for chronic obesity management, or if you're a type 2 diabetic taking Mounjaro or Ozempic. So that head hunger versus physical hunger. Sometimes the hunger comes out of like, I'm really hungry. My body is giving me all of the signals to eat. And then sometimes with chronic obesity management, for me, it's head hunger of I'm tired, I'm lonely, I'm angry, or something else that is why I'm going to go eat. It's head hunger. It's not real true hunger. Or at nighttime, I want to snack. It's that. And eating when I'm already had my meals, had my macros, hit my protein goal, my fiber for the day with my fruits and vegetables, hit all of those things. And so having that difference in there. Now, with semaglutide, it sounds like from people sharing this with me, and you tell me in the comments, sound off in the comments in a loving, nice way, if you're on semaglutide, that there's people who have taken both have shared with me this experience of where they don't even engage in eating. And that's one of my favorite things about taking tirzepatide is that I just don't even start eating. It's helped cut out snacking significantly. Now, I do have protein supplements, like I'll have a protein coffee in between meals as a air quote snack, but it's really to help get my protein in. But having that of where I'm not even engaging and starting down to eat a snack, for me has been so beneficial for my weight loss journey of losing 92 pounds. that when I feel that urge to go eat, it's because it's true hunger. And am I perfect at this? No. Am I certainly still learning? Yes. Even a year and a half into it, you're like, you still haven't learned it. Yeah, apparently I'm a turtle. I'm a slow loser. And so I want to encourage you, if you're still learning this lesson too, that's for me has been totally okay, of recognizing I had decades of these behaviors, and unraveling those decades out of those behaviors has taken a hot second. And that's totally okay. For me, also adding in, one of the biggest things I've added in is I've started weight training. I have been so far enjoying, and people are like, what are you using? I wanted to test it before I told people. So I like it. So now I can feel like I can tell you that it's been good. Shanti's Digging Deeper, really like that. I can do it in my home gym. I also have been going to private Pilates. I'm like, who is this person? I had started off with wall Pilates on YouTube, and then that evolved to going to an actual Pilates in-person class with a reformer machine. You use these machines. And then now I take private Pilates classes with like a private instructor because I want to get to 1.5 Pilates. I want to get to a higher level within Pilates. And with that, I have been more hungry and have needed also to have better muscle recovery. And for me, the biggest help for my muscle recovery with weight training, walking 3 miles in a day, and doing all this physical demanding labor has been LMNT electrolytes. Now, I started taking LMNT electrolytes when I first started. So if you're on ZEPBOUND 2.5 milligrams, Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams, just starting WEGOVY 2.5 milligrams, or whatever your journey is, you're just starting. For me, very beneficial with LMNT electrolytes to help with side effects, which I still take them for side effects. But now more so, my journey has evolved in the last year and a half to taking LMNT electrolytes because of the magnesium, potassium, and sodium, and because of the muscle recovery after working out. I literally got back from walking 3 miles. I was so sweaty Betty. Mr. Freddie, my dog, and I were like huffing along. You know what was waiting for me? This cold one in my refrigerator. It is awesome after working out. Now, sometimes I use these as pre-workout stuff too, like as a pre-workout drink, but really for me, the reward comes after, because I want to replenish that magnesium, potassium, and sodium. I do find for some viewers, it's salt in there. It has sodium, which is great if people are worried with heart stuff. There's a whole great article on LMNT electrolytes of why potassium helps to negate that. So you can totally, because I'm a science nerd, so I like the science and data that LMNT electrolytes has done with that. But if it's too salty, you just add more water. For me, I typically do one of their sticks. I'll do in a 40 ounces of water, but you certainly could do more water or less water or whatever. My personal preference is the raspberry salt. Have that after working out. Because of doing this, it has been very beneficial for my workouts, right? Which has thus helped with my weight loss and also building muscle. So you can go down to drinklmnt.com/queen. LMNT has been very gracious to give the Countess of Shopping community 8 free sticks with any purchase. 8 free sticks with any purchase. So just go to drink, and that's also down in the description link below. It's QUEEN, drinklmnt.com, QUEEN. With working out, I do find naturally, because it's natural, to be more hungry with that. And so that's one of the things that I didn't figure out. Again, I'm kind of a turtle until after a hot second of why am I so hungry after working? Like, it's because I'm working out. I'm burning calories in that. And so incorporating in that, knowing that, and then on the back end, now I just add more protein. I just have more protein. Like I'll have some chicken or rotisserie chicken a little bit later because I'm not hungry after my workout. But then there's a point of where I'm not hungry and where I do get hungry. And that goes back to, is it head hunger or physical hunger? And the differences with semaglutide and tirzepatide on that is just not engaging with the eating, or when I'm eating, I come to this stop button, which is what I had last night when I was at the Italian restaurant. I had ordered, my husband and I ordered the same thing. We both wanted to try the burrito with tomatoes because it's fresh in season here in Virginia. Fresh farmers made these beautiful tomatoes. And then I wanted to get eggplant parmesan. The eggplant was fresh, like locally grown. It was so good. And so my husband got the same thing, big plates. I mean, these plates were huge. It was like 4 portion sizes. So I had a few bites. I wanted to try it. I savored it. I enjoyed it. And then I put my fork down. This appetite suppression is wild, by the way. And my husband, he ate the whole plate. I'm like, oh my God. And then he had the worst indigestion. I'm like, that's why. And then we had cappuccinos. They were probably the best cappuccinos I've ever had in my life. And I've been to Italy. They were such good cappuccinos. And so I'm sharing, the reason why I'm sharing all this is I'm also at that point was on day 3 of my shot. That appetite suppression is going to be different on different days as well. And if you haven't incorporated that out or figured out your pattern recognition, I do have on countessofshopping.com my free website for a ton of free stuff for you. I give away so much free stuff, but there is a free side effects tracker. So you can see if you do get hungrier, which you probably will, because half-life doses for sure for ZEPBOUND and Mounjaro on day 5. So day 5, day 6, day 7, you're going to see this absolute decline in hunger. And if you're like, why am I so hungry? Absolutely, it's going to go down. And now, is it going to hit where it used to be? No, it's a half-life dose on here though. So for me, and I'll use my I statements again, because everybody's body is different. And so you're going to need to figure this out for yourself, which is why I say get my free tracker. It's also, as are all of my resources, linked in the description link below. But you can have, for me, that 24 to 48-hour window. It is awesome. It is awesome. I ride that wave, honey. I ride that wave of appetite suppression. But then it starts to crest and come down. That is totally normal for appetite suppression to be at the 24 to 48-hour mark really, really high, and then to start coming down. And then by day 5, it's half-life dose. Day 5, day 6, day 7, you have that half-life dose. That's totally, totally normal. Totally normal. That is the cycle of Mounjaro and ZEPBOUND and with having GLP-1 medication. So I want to encourage you on that. If you're feeling like, why am I so... That's why. One of the other parts of appetite suppression for me too is, hello, my cycle. Now, men use your earmuffs just for a hot second, but for women, definitely that plays into this. Just because I'm taking a GLP-1 medication does not mean for me that I haven't had PMS symptoms. I've done other videos on this of how much my menstrual cycle changed. If you're in menopause, how much that's changed for so many women. There are these hormonal changes that I went through, and many other people can attest to that too. So if you're going through hormonal changes, know that you're in the right place. A lot of people have had that as well, and that is also totally normal. One of the other things that I want to go back to is not even starting with the eating component, more so with tirzepatide. You may experience that on semaglutide too, by the way. I'm saying broad strokes, but you very well may be against the grain on that, and that's also great. That's wonderful, and I'm so happy. I want you to have your best GLP-1 journey, point blank period. Like, it's what my heart's desire is for you. And so with not even starting, for me, having chronic obesity management meant that I had a lot of unhealthy relationship with food that I needed to detangle. And I've talked about this before, but having needed to have a therapist help me with that. Because this was not healthy just physically, but also mentally with food. The relationship with food has very much needed to be healed. And that's needed counsel, seeking wise counsel on that. And so one of the things for me, and a friend of mine and I were texting back and forth, on Countess of Shopping Instagram, I was DMing her. Sometimes I can DM it and sometimes I don't have time to, but I really got into a deep conversation with somebody about how their experience with semaglutide. They're like, I had that unhealthy relationship with food that you talk about. And she's like, on semaglutide, it was a great launch pad, but I got to a certain point of where I needed more and more of having the dual agonist component on there, of having the second, am I saying that right? It's the second hormone basically of it, of having the GIP on there in addition to the GLP-1. And so she was saying, like, not even starting to eat was so helpful for her because of that unhealthy relationship with food. It gave a pause. And it's not a pause of, there's been a lot of talk in the media recently about disordered eating from GLP-1 medication, which is obviously something to keep in mind. And that's why having a team of people who help you, that's why I love recommending Join Fridays. You can use the discount code QUEEN with them because they are my telehealth provider that I recommend, but they also have like a dietitian, mental health, group coaching things for a lot of different areas, physical, mental, food with a diet, like all of these things. And so tangling that unhealthy relationship with food by just giving a pause gives time for my brain to catch up with my physical stuff and the emotional stuff. So just not engaging in eating for a pocket is helpful for me to then go through, because it's still this like disconnect of like, am I really hungry? Is my body really feeling that? Like checking in with my body. Is my body really feeling that? Am I really hungry? Is this head hunger or is this physical hunger? And so that's one of the big things between semaglutide and tirzepatide to listen to your body with, that not even starting. And it's more so with tirzepatide, you're going to have that pause before you eat. in addition, or I'll use my experience, in addition to when I'm eating. For example, when I'm having that amazing Italian meal, stopping, putting my fork down, we had the appetizer, and then having my eggplant parmesan, just having, I don't know, 5 bites, and then gaming like, may I please have a box? And I box the rest of it up. And literally that's gonna be lunch for my son, it's gonna be lunch for me, and then probably another little snack for my kid too, because the plates were huge. It was huge portions on there. And that's eating to what my body is wanting. And that's one of the things of where I've said before, and I'll say it again, on day 1 and day 2, I'm not force feeding myself. Some people have gotten, you do with what your healthcare providers and your people recommend for you, because you may be having like severe appetite suppression. For me, being a year and a half into this, I do not have that severe appetite. I pray that that would come back, but that's not been my journey. I had that at the very beginning, but now being on this for quite some time, my body is losing 92 pounds, it has changed the dynamic on that appetite suppression for me, that I don't have as high as appetite suppression, which is why I really had to focus in on protein and working out. I mean, hello, going back to muscle building muscle mass, because we lose muscle mass through working out. So this appetite suppression thing, I think this is somewhat scratching the surface. I know I'm going to do a follow-up video on this in the future. So that's why you're going to want to click like and subscribe, because I know there's going to be more scientific data that I can back these theories that I'm having in my personal I statements that I'm using, that more data is going to continue to come out about the appetite suppression and the differences in this. I have a friend who started semaglutide. And she's tried everything to lose these last like 20 pounds for her, and she could not. And she tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and could not. And so she went on semaglutide and has had wonderful success with that. For me, with chronic obesity management, of being over 100 pounds overweight, I felt like I needed a more heavy arsenal, and I needed that extra GIP-1 from tirzepatide that I would not get from semaglutide. It's different. It's different. And with the changes that are happening right now, so current events that are happening right now, I feel like I need to mention this. So check the date that I filmed this video of when it got released versus like if this is like 6 months from now, because data continuously changes. So if you're watching some of my older videos, I always like to caution, stuff changes from what I said then. That's why you also do want to click that like and subscribe so you can see my newer content too, because I will update as we learn more with science. There's going to be, this is like, we're in GLP-1 1.0. Wait till GLP-1 2.0 comes out, when like the next 2 years with retatrutide coming out in these higher doses, and it's going to be wild. Anyways, I digress. The point that I'm trying to make is I needed more arsenal to help with my chronic obesity management, whereas my friend had 20 pounds that she could not lose that weight, and she tried so hard and she was depressed about it. I mean, it really got her down. She's like, I've tried everything within my control. There's something hormonally going on with me, had her hormones, like all this stuff. Went to her doctor, of course. And so for her, semaglutide has been the best. And maybe tirzepatide would have been too much for her, or she would have stayed on a very, very much lower dose. I'm on the highest dose, ZEPBOUND 15 milligrams. There's nowhere else for me to go. I wish I could go higher, but I have needed that. There's different spectrums of obesity. There's varying spectrums of that. And so I'm on the higher end of that. With chronic obesity, there's been a lot to unpack, and still continuing to unpack with this, because I'm 92 pounds down, which is amazing. And I've worked my Batutski figuratively and literally off for that victory, but I'm still not there yet. A year and a half into this, and I'm still fighting and clawing and going. And so I want to share that too with the appetite suppression. Sometimes I get really frustrated about it, but there's things I can control, things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you're finding you're on semaglutide, and maybe you're on the highest dose, and you're where I am right now, where you're like, oh man, I'm frustrated, talk to your healthcare provider about maybe switching over to tirzepatide. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a healthcare provider, so I'm certainly not going to give medical advice. But if that were me, and I had tried the semaglutide route, because there's that GIP-1 component on there, it's a different kind of medication, same but different. And so maybe that's an outlet for you. For me, I wish there was like a leapfrog. I can go to another lily pad I could jump to. I don't have that option yet. 2 years. A bunch of these new medications will get released, or higher doses of ZEPBOUND will get released. Oh, God willing, I hope so soon. It's going to be a while though, which is where this is where focusing on gratitude, the gift of being able to practice the healthy tools that I've learned from GLP-1 medication, because it's changed my life and saved my life. And I am so grateful. Don't ever want to come across as being ungrateful about that. Have felt stuck. I'm not stuck, but have felt stuck, which is why I've had to really lean on working out. which is a gift, and focusing on those eating habits. And gosh, Element Electrolytes has helped so much with the working out component of making workouts not drudgery, making them fun, and knowing that I have a reward afterwards, which by the way, these are only 10 calories per stick. Like they're so good. So, so good with magnesium, potassium, sodium. Make sure you run down into the description link below to get that, or you can go to drinkelement.com/queen, QUEEN, to get your 8 free sticks with any purchase. Any purchase. And I want to know your favorite flavor if you are taking Element already. Their stuff is so good. The other thing, our question of the day, accountability question. What are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? I want you to think about it or type it in the comments. And then number 2, our emoji for today is going to be the number 2, because we've got 2 choices today. So the emoji of the day tells me that you made it this far in the video, and I love getting to know people even better. And with the repetition of your name appearing over and over and over in videos that you've watched all the way to the end helps me to get to know you better, because I truly do care. And in addition, I'll pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thoughts. I'm gonna go do my workout now. I haven't gotten in my 3 miles yet, but I'm gonna go do it. Sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings, because life is delicious. Love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye, guys.